Christopher Smith, you're back here at FrightFest Glasgow after being here with Detour. Tell us all about consecration.
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm very glad to be back. It's lovely to be here. You guys were the first people that ever shared any of my films, so I'm very pleased. So Consecration is a film. I was always thinking for a while, what would happen if there was a second coming? And someone, imagine you said, hey, I'm the second coming, and, how would that play? And what if that was a woman? And how would that play to the church? And I couldn't really get it together. So for about 10 years, I was kicking this idea about. And then I bumped into Jason Newmark, who was the producer on many of my earlier films. And he said, Laurie's got this idea, which is very simple, about a murder that happens in a church, and the priest, the sort of head of the Vatican, comes over to investigate. And I thought, well, what if we merge these two ideas together? And that's kind of it, really. And I'd had this one image that really struck me from a film called Valley of the Bees, where this priest, it's a Czech film, this priest is punished, and to get rid of his sins, he just walks backwards and falls through this hole in the floor in front of all these priests. And I thought, that's a really good image. So that was kind of it. That's how it started.
Because you've said that, you've always seen religion and supernatural.
Yeah.
It's like something sort of like two sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's people go, oh, yeah, you truly believe in the supernatural, but I don't. But a whole swathe of people believe in stories that are kind of, you have to have belief and faith to accept them. And they are supernatural, bringing people back from the dead. Lazarus rising from the, is supernatural. It's our stock. It's kind of, it's the stuff of zombies. So, yeah.
So a couple of housekeeping things. When did you shoot? How long did it take you?
Yeah, so we shot the film in 1 week. We shot 1 week on the Isle of Skye, where we found the amazing ruins that are on the edge of the cliff. Now, obviously, we do a little bit of CGI work for the historical stuff. Pretty much what you see when they're in there is actually there on the side. And the rest of it, we found a deconsecrated church that became private school, and then it was deconsecrated, became a boys' private school, but it still had the church. And that was all filmed on the outskirts of London. It took us so it was a week in Scotland and 5 weeks in London to do.
Oh, actually, that's longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a luxury then.
It was quite. No, I was saying 5 weeks. It was 4 weeks in London and 1 week. It was 5 weeks.
Okay.
Not the old days of Severance where 8 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, God, my goodness, those were the days.
Those days are gone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, Jenna Malone, Danny Houston, Janet Sisman.
Yeah.
Fab cast.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So Jenna Malone, take to it straight away when you sent her the
Yeah.
script?
So what happened was originally we'd set it in a secular New York girl goes to Salem was the idea, and that's where the church was. So this whole idea of there's a section in the thing where Danny Houston says that brick by brick it was rebuilt, this old church. That was the story. And then we went to Scotland, saw this location, and because obviously I felt, because it needed to have this isolation element, this idea that they've travelled. It's very hard when you're writing a script to imagine that in the UK. And the only place I could think of, off the top of my head, was let's go to the Highlands, or an island in the far corners of Scotland. And it helped for the budget, and it helped because it was easier to raise. But by that time, we already had Jenna attached. So I was like, ugh. So I called Jenna. I said, how's your English accent? And of course, she'd done, I think it was Little Women, or one of those films, and when she was younger. And she had this brilliant posh accent, but it was too posh. So at the end of the first week, someone got COVID. And I was like, Jenna, I think we just need to be a little more London-y, a little less kind of posh. And she's amazing. And then Danny Houston came about because Xavier, one of the producers, knew Danny. And he said, what do you think of Danny Houston? I said, are you kidding me? Ivan's Ecstasy is one of my all-time favourite films from when I saw that. And I got on the phone to Danny, and he's a delight. And then Janet, I'd worked with on a TV show. She's like 83, but is like sharp as a knife, and she's great. So yeah,
it was nice to see her in it. Actually,
yeah.
It was a great thing to do. So, I mean, anything you can tell us about the filming? Did it go smoothly? Was it fine?
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, Scotland was fun. I mean, it was very much like with Nal and I, where we were like, we're not from London, as we're filming, we suddenly hear this sheep bleating, and a baby sheep is born just behind the monitor. So, and that was all good. I mean, it's more expensive than London, the Isle of Skye, actually, to stay in. But no, it was good. The hardest thing with any film is time. And we were very lucky. I've always been quite lucky in this regard that the actors are so good, because I sometimes see these sort of Blumhouse films and go, how do you actually do those kind of big CG numbers when you've only got like 5 or 6 weeks? And I think you just throw money at it, because it's very hard to do. So the sort of stately side of the film, the way it kind of came about really because we shot the first week in the Isle of Skye, and as soon as I sort of turned the camera on, it sort of had this Ken Russell feel as soon as I saw it. And so and that wasn't really kind of intentional. It became intentional after the first 2 or 3 days. So it has that sort of stately feel that comes from Scotland in a way.
No, I mean it's quite a complex film. I mean, when you get to the ending, you've really got to go, okay, you're backtracking through everything you see. So I mean, that must have been quite complicated from a script point of view to put across.
Yeah, I think it comes from, like I say, Laurie's treatment, he didn't have a script, was very, it was much more of a kind of classic supernatural things flying around. And I've always been I've always loved I love the whole film, but the first third of The Exorcist, I love the way they deface the statues. And I find, even though I don't call myself religious, I do understand that we all have something in us. And that, I walked into a synagogue recently when I was doing this TV series, and I just felt something, you feel a presence. And I think that I wanted the film to not treat, certainly because it's Christianity, I wouldn't treat another religion glibly. So I didn't want to sort of just use it and not. And so I was a huge fan of, I think I've said this before, Meg Tilly. I loved Meg Tilly in the sort of late 80s, especially in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, when she does this amazing thing like, where are you going to run, where are you going to hide? and we tried to get her originally for the role of Mother Superior, but that film, Agnes of God, that she's pregnant and Jane Fonda's like, you've been raped. No, I haven't, it's Jesus's baby. It really creeped me out, and it wasn't supposed to be a horror movie, so I wanted to sort of put a little bit of that into it as well.
Is this the first time it's been shown in public?
Here, absolutely, yeah.
Right, you've had other screenings where?
Only in the States. We've not. This is the first time I've ever presented it in a festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Oh, well, listen, we're really pleased.
No, I'm really pleased.
Well,
as
we've kept up our sort of we've showed every single one.
You
of your
certainly
films.
have, and this is the
apart
first
from
time.
Get Santa.
Apart from Get Santa, which was a mistake.
Say no more.
A mistake on your part. There may be Get Santa too.
Oh no. And on that note, thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.